here we are, getting close to the bewitching hour, 3 o'clock, 4 days, Monday, Tuesday, pre-con, opening yesterday, 4th day, still a buzz. I mean, it's amazing that after a 4-day event, people are still in the room, people like you. I mean, and it's not just that they're in the room. I mean, these are some of the smartest people I know, and they're still walking around, having conversations, making connections. It totally amazes me because I've been to a lot of conferences. Usually by noon, everybody's gone. But these people are committed to what they're doing, and they're having fun. So I am with a, I would put at this point, not just an associate, but a friend. We became, you know, it's like somebody yesterday said to me, I have found my people. Emmanuel Daniel with Microsoft is the guy in charge of the digital transformation of the Microsoft campus. And we've been up there a number of times over the years. Early in my career, I'd been up there. And we had an old picture that we just swapped out that was the old campus, and this is the new campus. And I look at that and I go, not just does it look pretty, but we're going to talk about, you know, what it is that you are doing. But before we go there, I like setting the stage to get some context. Why don't you spend a couple minutes and just tell people about your Middle East experience, about your Singapore, just a little journey, because to take on a project like that, you have to have some credentials. So why don't you give them an idea?
Yeah, I would love to. You know, so smart buildings for me started out in Singapore. It started off as smart cities. How do we help transform the landscape of Singapore to drive better efficiency and optimization of buildings? That then allowed me to then say that, hey, you know, it's not just about energy efficiency and asset optimization. How do we keep the occupants in that building happy, engaged, and satisfied?
Healthy.
And healthy as well. And that's where the entire spin that energy and sustainability are foundational. But occupant engagement, where you're able to delight the occupants, is critical as well for them to use your asset and to make that asset effective. And that's where we started doing a lot of design work on what smart experiential buildings are in Asia, across Asia Pacific. We went down to the Middle East. In the Middle East, we ended up working on numerous projects out in Oman, and then in Sharjah. In Sharjah, we did the beer building.
I remember,
which is the iconic building that is shaped like a sand dune, where it is the first AI-enabled building.
Is it really? I mean, are they really using AI? I mean, can you see it, feel it, experience it?
When you talk about the services the building has to provide, the goal is to make it intelligent so that every building by itself is able to optimize itself and offer services that a user
continuous commissioning.
Continuous commissioning, you know, where a building is never outdated. It is, and one thing that we try to emphasize is your data is only as good as how real-time it is. I could have done something 6 months ago, but it could have faded away.
You know what I love is your global perspective, so you get to see how people are doing with it. A good part of my smart building journey actually started in Singapore.
Wow.
We did a tour in 2004 and Capitol Towers. I don't know if you've ever head of GIC. Yeah. And we went in, I think I tried to introduce you to a friend of mine there, Harry Singham. I don't know if you guys ever got connected.
Oh, we did.
Okay, so Harry was the guy behind that vision. And we're sitting there and I go, you know, he goes, yeah, he says, if the phone rings, the toilet will flush. I mean, that's how automated it was, right?
Right.
And I said, so who's going to support all this? And he says, the engineers. And I go, the building engineers where I come from aren't coming. And he pointed these two guys, button-down shirts, more like IT guys. And
Right.
And there was 6, 7 real estate guys there, and they're like, and so he said, yeah, he said, in the future, IT, and this was 20 years ago. You know, and so why was Singapore so onto this so early?
So, you know, there are a lot of motivating factors. I think Singapore is a small country, highly educated, you know, and the motivation always to drive towards excellence. So how can I make things better, right? At the same time, there is also population challenges that the country goes through. So it's about driving efficiency not only of the assets, but of the people as well. And then if you have people always like to grow. So it's no longer about facilities management, but it is building management, where the FM operator now transforms into a building manager, and they use data, insights, and analytics to be able to make their buildings better perform.
Yeah, now we were talking earlier about, you know, the global perspective, and nobody better than you to say, yeah, that region gets it, that region doesn't. But you're telling me that what you're doing in Redmond is setting new standards at a global level. So,
it is.
So some of that innovation, you know, those benchmarks are actually coming back to the United States. A lot of projects in this room, but Let's talk about what your role is in this project. I mean, do you pick the technology? I mean, what does an 8-hour day look like for you?
Well, you know, the 8-hour days are extremely packed.
It's 16, 20-hour days, sorry.
So my role on the East Campus Modernization Program is I take care of the digital transformation. What that means is, what kind of experiences do people want to see when they come into physical spaces? What does that experience mean? And it's not just about defining the experience, translating that into data that is needed to deliver the experience. Once the data has been identified, then we talk about the devices, the sensors, and the assets that go into those buildings.
So you start with the business, personal, human objective first.
The goal is
which is the absolute right way to do it.
Right. If a human is not going to use that space becomes ineffective. And one of my goals is to ensure people love walking into these buildings.
Well, and especially after the pandemic where everybody doesn't want to go back anywhere. They want to stay home, right? I mean, and, you know, frankly, there's a lot of people, they don't come to, you know, they're not part of this community that say, get back to the office. It's like, wait a minute. and a friend of mine who's been in this business for 25 years, noted consultant, said, you got to make the commute worth it. You know, if you're still going to ask me to commute, when I get here, this better be better than when that cube farm that I left.
Beautiful.
So when they do get back, what's going to be different in the campus?
So, you know, Jim, I think you hit the nail on the head. You have to motivate people that the trip to the office is worth it. So when we deal with situations like this, for us, it's about saying, how do you want to get to work? Getting to work on your own terms. Are you going to drive? Are you going to ride share? It's a beautiful day. Are you going to walk? After you get to work, what kind of food do you want to eat? How do you tantalize your senses? How do you want to work? Do you want to work in a nice, beautiful, crowded setting like this, or do you need your quiet, dedicated time? Or do you want to work in an outdoor space because you love nature? Hey, you know, you want to have an ad hoc collaboration session with your friends.
So you can have a treehouse office?
We do.
Because I like tree houses.
we have tree houses as well. So in case
really? I was joking. You're serious. Take my laptop, good wireless, and I'm ready to go.
You could, and that's the beauty of it.
Wow. I mean, you're literally going to have a tree house.
We do. We have tree houses today. Next time you're there, I'll take you there myself.
Yeah, we're going to have a cup of tea in the tree house. I love that. Or a beer or something. Yeah. Wow.
Because the goal for us is the office can be anywhere.
Right.
But not only inside the building, but outside the building as well. The key is making that space effective so you can seamlessly work indoors and outdoors in a setting that makes sense for you.
So when I set foot in one of these new buildings, am I going to be able to tell this is not a normal building? Like is it going to look, feel, smell like the future?
So once you enter the building, you will have a plethora of services that are offered to you in terms of saying, hey, Jim, what do you want to do today? How do you want to work? Who do you want to go and meet? Or what style of a meeting would you like to run? And oh, by the way, Jim, you have all these interests. Why don't you go try them out? And we have this unique dining experience curated for you. Wow. The building is like your own personal agent serving you and taking care of your
So did you find products off the shelf, or did you have to get some Microsoft people in there stitching all this together?
It's a combination, Jim. You know, we are a very partner-driven organization. So we work with multiple partners, and many of them are actually here, and we bumped into most of them. But at the same time, we took the thought leadership in the industry to demonstrate, hey guys, if we all work together, we can create better, stronger products. And so we built some, we bought some, and we are co-working with some. You know,
well, and it's nice that you've got one of the largest, most successful tech companies in the world to be able to call on some folks to give you a hand on this. So next, you said you're going to get one building commission, and it's going to, that's kind of the next goal line. Once that's up and running, what happens on the campus, and then how does that, roll out globally?
So the goal is experiences are global. We create experiences so that any workspace Microsoft has will be able to consume those experiences. That's what we are after.
Really? So a standard that can just be...
Beautifully said. So we are creating standards from these experiences, and these standards will be rolled out across our portfolio. Because the whole aspect for us is, if you go into any Microsoft property anywhere, you should get the same level of experience that you would get on our East Campus.
So do you consider that from the standpoint of a workforce that's hard to attract, a lot of competition, a lot of pushback? So do you feel that this is going to be something that you offer to these people, saying this is a different kind of place to work? Whether you're at home in London, Redmond, you're going to feel the Microsoft brand.
So I would extend that a little more. I would say it's not only this workforce, but it is the future workforce as well. If they bring their friends, their kids, their family, and they walk into a Microsoft building, our goal is the kid goes inside, looks at the building and says, Mom and Dad, I love this place. this is where I want to work because this place is so cool. That's what we're after.
So you're a guy who's got a smart building, campus district perspective, probably top 1% of even our world because of what you've done. You've also got a global perspective. In 30 seconds, because we're out of time, what do you say to the world as far as your journey, what to expect, or more importantly, what advice would you give to them?
Right, I would say the most important aspect is you design buildings for the people. Focus on engaging them and the experiences that would delight them, and that will drive the integration, consumption, and effectiveness of that space, and that is success.
Yeah. So well said. I mean, and sometimes the real estate, the brick and mortar people get so excited about the brick, which is great. The tech people get so excited about the tech, but in the end of the day, these structures are there to serve human beings, period. And if they don't work functionally or from an inspiration standpoint, then they're not working.
Agree.
Emmanuel, thank you so much. So good to see you.
Always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure. Thank you.